Welcome to Dialogues in Design. Today we are going to be talking to architect Mahesh Rameshwar Bangad. Architect Mahesh is an associate professor at BNCA. He is a registered PhD scholar at SPPU. He has a master's in environmental architecture, a post-graduation in project management from UK, and a diploma in Indian art and architecture. He is the current chairman of the Architects, Engineers and Surveyors Association and an EC member of IIA Pune Center and INTACH Pune chapter. So today's conversation is a really special one for me because I'm talking to someone who is not only was my professor, but whose approach to architecture and design has shaped the way I see the profession today. I'm so excited to have you, sir, on the podcast today.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you for inviting me, Nikita.
So, you've taught so many of us about architecture. I'm curious about what first shaped the way you think about design.
So, goes a long back way in terms of how I got oriented to design. I wasn't very keen on doing architecture, actually. I have no background personally at my family front, neither friends back then who were wanting to do architecture. I used to draw well, so I used to draw caricatures, I used to draw some paintings, and in that process, I met a very interesting painter who was a direct disciple of M.F. Hussain Saab and Mr. Murli Lahoti, very renowned painter. I met him and I asked him that I want to pursue GD Arts. He said, why do you want to pursue GD Arts? Why do you want to do a diploma in arts? Why don't you pursue a degree? I said, I don't know about any degree that relates to art like this, and this is way back in 2002, 2003. So he said there's architecture which will help you to design art, architecture, music, everything. Why don't you read about it and think about joining architecture? Coming from a business family, my father thought I would do a hotel management course or a CA and just join the family business. But then I was very, very intrigued by the way art shaped our communities, our surroundings, and how it actually started shaping our lives as well, right from the clothes we wear to the sports we play and the sports equipments and everything. I used to play cricket a lot back then and for the club of Maharashtra. Then I went and read about architecture. I realized it was really, really interesting. I met a couple of architects. I went to the BKPS College of Architecture and met Nakre ma'am there, and I asked her what is architecture. She gave me a very good detailed brief about it. And then she told me you can give the entrance exam and start doing architecture. So luckily, I had taken up science in 11th and 12th, and that's how I got introduced to architecture. But the way I got introduced to design as a field was when I started working for NASA India. In my first year, I was a novice. I had no idea what all is happening, but my seniors introduced me to working for trophies of NASA. And the moment that happened, I realized that architecture is beyond the classroom also. We don't really have to be stuck to doing what is told as a syllabus and an assignment. And then that suddenly widened up my scope of design. I looked at everything as design rather than architecture as one aspect of it. And I keep telling this at my design thinking workshops that I do across the country, that the way the dialogue in Three Idiots movie, Amir Khan says, everything around you is a machine, from the ceiling fan to the calculator to everything around you is a machine. I keep saying that just replace the word machine by design and the definition still stands true. That everything around you is design. The interface that we are talking on right now, the pen in my hand, the laptop, the ceiling, the background, everything is design. So then I realized that design is a vast field and I would want to explore as much as possible. Started reading more about it, started teaching. Of course, in 2010, I started teaching. And of course, I also realized with that that design can't really be taught, but can only be learned. So that's where the journey started of teaching how to learn about design rather than teaching design.
That is really interesting. Knowing so much about how you started with the process of design thinking was really valuable to me, and I'm sure to the audience as well. As you mentioned, you've been in the field for many years now. What are some changes that you have seen in the field from when you first started to today?
When I graduated, we were obviously going through a recession across the country, and people were more conservative about what they were spending on. So the first thing that I've noticed is post-COVID, people have realized the importance of designed spaces, to have an office space inside your house, to have spaces that were more healthier. So one thing that has changed is financial agreement of people to spend for better architecture, better design. The second thing that has changed is exposure. Over the last 20 years, I've seen that people have taken up travel as a very serious business rather than just for leisure. People go abroad, people go across the country, they want to see different architecture, different designs. They want to understand cultures, they want to understand contexts. That has started influencing design as well across the country. The third thing that has changed is our perception of spaces. We would look at architecture as a more aesthetic value. Now people look at utility. Look at the use, the ease of use, the convenience a space or a product offers. So design has changed largely the way people live, and it has become an integral part as well, where I think in the last 15-20 years we've started respecting our own time also, that we invest in doing things, where we are investing our time, how much time do we spend at places. So all of that has got influenced by design and on design as well. Lastly, what has changed is also the want to learn or the need to learn, both, because students are approaching for BDes, MDes courses, which are quick learning, new avenues of design. And the need to learn is to make life better, easier. You look at AI tools, you look at tools that are helping graphic design, architecture, generating 3D drawings. So the need to maximize our efforts into getting the best products out have also changed. Initially, people took it a little slow. Now we are fast evolving.
Yeah, it's really true what you said about the fast growing field, and it is really evolving so fast. And also the changes that you mentioned throughout your career, I think the pace of it has become much more faster now.
Yes.
What do you think are some things that students or young graduates can do to not get overwhelmed by the space?
I think pretty much the young generation is focused about what they're trying to do, what they expect out of this course, not just architecture. I'm talking about design. But it's obviously overwhelming too, because the field is fast changing, fast evolving. Technology is taken over. Obviously, I stand by the fact that our jobs are still safe. AI is not going to disrupt it. But what the young learners should be doing is they should find their own niche. I think what has also changed over a period of time is people have stopped looking at the larger picture. They want to address what is at hand, but while doing so, they are forgetting that they are a part of a larger cosmos. So younger students, I would advise younger designers that look at the larger picture, then find your niche, and then dig deeper, rather than just straight away look at a niche area and start digging deeper. What that does is they lose out on other opportunities. The second thing that the young designers need to start doing also is to fast adapt. I think those who are adapting are surviving the market. Third thing is be open for collaboration. I think that has been the case since post COVID. Unless you collaborate, you are not able to learn the other aspects of the field, the design, be it construction, or be it about the built envelope. So they should be ready to collaborate. Fourth, of course, one very standard advice that I give to young designers is keep your ego low. A problem with ego is when you start thinking that you know it all, that is the time when you are not knowing much. Knowing that you don't know is the first step towards success, and we all must try and appreciate what others are doing, learn from them, learn from others' mistakes and experiences as well, and keep evolving, which will necessarily only happen if we keep our egos low. And last thing that I think young designers need to do is respect the experience of the seniors. Learn from the case studies, learn from what their lessons were. And this can happen through case studies, reading more and more, interacting with seniors, being very humble and polite to approach them and listen to them, become good listeners. All of this is going to change the way they practice their design then. That is really valuable advice and an amazing way to look at it. I'm really glad you spoke about collaboration and networking, interaction with seniors and everything. How would you advise any young designer to start with that journey of networking and this interaction? Again, that's multifold actually. I will tell you how I started it. When I joined teaching as a field, I was also very focused about, yeah, okay, this is a 8 to 5, 8 to 4 job. I'll go teach, do my work, administrative, and go home. why bother? And then maybe look at some sites to do or do some own practice. But some of my seniors introduced me to different associations, like Architect Zoe Tavde introduced me to INTAC as an organization. Architect Rajiv Raze introduced me to AESA, the Architects Engineers Service Association. Architect Yatin Moge introduced me to Triple ID. And soon I got exposed to a lot of associations, their network, and I realized that I'm a very small speck in this entire gamut of things. And if I have to survive, I need to contribute. And there are three ways of contribution. One is volunteering for different organizations, events, and possibly looking at contributing to making them successful as well. Two is to go and attend as many things as possible, be a part of the audience, listen to people, listen to experiences, talk to people. The third thing that helped network was not being shy of approaching people. It's okay to say that you don't know, or it's okay to ask silly questions. I think that was one thing that has kept me very, very connected to people, is where I don't have this inhibition of why should I approach, or will I ask a stupid question and will they judge me? I never had those inhibitions. So these three things that actually sort of changed the way I networked around with the seniors and the peers also. So attending as many events, volunteering for as many events, and most importantly, being approachable and approaching also, both being very polite with it, and most importantly, not fearing that somebody would judge me. So all of that sort of helped network and increase the networking as well. The other side of it, like I said, it's a multifold thing. The second part of it is we all must understand that we are a very small designer community, is a very tight community, a very small community. So there's nothing right, wrong, good, bad, ugly in design. We have to look at every aspect of design, everybody's work with the same amount of respect and humility, and explore. That's why. And at times it is going to happen that we will go to a certain site, certain projects with somebody, without somebody, and we will have our own key takeaways from it. And they shape you, they shape your thought, they shape your journey also as architects. And then you use these experiences later when you are networking around with people, while you are giving them examples, sharing stories. It sort of helps you. It sort of makes you a better person, a better communicator, and people take you seriously because you come from experiences. The third fold to this is sitting with seniors and talking to them, asking them what they did when they were younger to network. What were the opportunities then? And when we look at our opportunities today, I keep telling students, those of them who are in Pune, I tell them that it's such a wonderful city to be networking around and to be known. You have the most important organizations, all their head offices are in Pune, be it the Indian Institute of Architects, AESA, Triple ID, the PCRF, the Constro, the IUDI, you name it, PMI, Project Managers Institute, everything is in Pune. So all of them are hosting. You have field in Pune. Everybody is hosting events and dialogues and conferences, workshops. You have 25 architecture colleges, design schools in Pune who are actively doing things. So the field is vast, opportunities are a lot. It is up to you what you want to pick from the buffet. It's a huge spread, and I think if we sort of sit down and ask ourselves, am I really making the best use of all of these opportunities? It is then we realize that how easy it is to network around with people, to have that camaraderie with your peers and people from the field, and to develop that sort of mutual admiration and respect for each other. I think all of these aspects, these points, make it very essential and viable currently in the modern times, and easier also to go network around, develop your contacts, connections, get to know and be known as well.
There's a lot to unpack in what you just said. Yeah, in all the fours, there are so many things hidden in it. What I would like to ask is, you spoke about attending these events, becoming a part of these organizations, talking to amazing people. How did you sustain these connections throughout the years? How did you maintain that network?
Yeah. Again, I think I'll go back to the point I made before. We have to keep our egos low. We need to keep touching base with people, keep meeting them at different occasions, approach them. So if I had to meet somebody like Jasim, who's such a well-renowned architect from Bangalore, I first met him in 2005 and then subsequently in. And since then, I don't even remember. I've lost the count of the number of times I've met him. But each time I met him at an event, I would go to him, walk up to him, talk to him, remind him of our previous meetings, appreciate what he's talking about or has spoken about or presented. So I think unless you go and tell people why you respect them, why they are important, if they're doing good work, what good work did you like? What aspect of their work influences you? People will not remember you because everybody, all these big connections that you make, and big, I don't talk about only by being famous. Big, I'm talking about by the stretcher they have achieved in their in the field, through their work, through the body of work that they have done across the field of design. We must respect it and we must give them their due respect. And when you do that, that respect is earned back. Then they remember you, then they talk to you. And we, of course, also need to understand that to sustain relationships, the dialogue has to continue. If you stop dialogue, the dialogue, things sort of fizzle out. So you need to remember the birthdays, say a hello if you are in their city, tell them that you are in their city, maybe try and catch up. If they are in your city, host them, meet them wherever they are, attend events and be the audience, listen to what they are new to present. So there is it's a very long process, I would say, not necessarily very easy. With time, you start off sort of create this network link between yourself and all these wonderful connections that you have made over the years. People like to be remembered. People like to be spoken well about. And when you do that on any other forum for somebody, even if they are not there at that forum, and when they come to know that you spoke well about them, they also remember you. They talk good about you. It's about that feel good factor that we develop for each other. And it sustains. I think I've had some of the most wonderful connections developed during my architecture college days, my days at NASA India when I was the president of NASA India. And since then, ever since I started teaching at BNCA, all those connections, most of them, I'd rather say all of them are in touch. All of them remember you. I remember them. I send a hello, a good morning, a happy new year, a birthday wish, and they are reciprocated. So, yeah, that's how you sustain them.
That is really insightful to know how you have sustained these network over so many years. I would like to go back a little bit to your journey. You spoke about being a part of NASA and eventually being the president of NASA. I would love to know some challenges you faced during architecture school that probably you weren't prepared for, and also some things that you did while or just after architecture school that have been proven to help you so much in your career.
I think challenges there were many. First being no WhatsApp, no internet on your phones. Um, so I'll be very honest. When my first year, I thought doing your syllabus, your assignment was everything. There was nothing outside the classroom to learn. And in my second year, when I got elected as the NASA unit designee, and I first attended a zonal NASA at Paika Panvel in 2004 July, my world suddenly opened up. I looked at architecture beyond the classroom, and I realized there was so much more to learn from the outside world than just sit in the classroom and do the syllabus and just finish that mandatory submissions. And NASA changed everything. But with it, it brought a lot of challenges. The first of it was time management. How are you going to manage your academics and then additionally do something else? The second was man management, interpersonal skills. How do you manage people, type of people, their behavior, their responses? So those were another challenges. Third was keeping in touch. Your normal SMS would cost you 1 rupee to send out a message. When you were on a roaming, you had 2 rupees. You had 2 rupees message to send to a national number also. So keeping in touch was also a very difficult task. So how do you develop your contacts? How do you tell people that you exist? The third challenge that also came with this was, or rather the fourth challenge was, and it was a very interesting challenge because I didn't come from a very affluent financial background. So, how much time do you invest and how much money do you invest in all of this? But then, my teachers, especially our NASA in charge professor Mukta Latkar at Bharati Vidyapit, she always told me to weigh the opportunities as against the time, money, energy I was investing in that opportunity. There was a point in my third year when I thought I was unable to maintain my academic standards and also my friendships with people and also become the unit secretary of the college. And I actually went and requested her to relieve me of the duty of a unit secretary. I wanted to just leave it. And she told me a very interesting thing. She told me that, look, Mahesh, you are representing your institute at the national level. So basically, there's only one guy who gets to go to the national level and represent an institute. And back then, we were only 72 architecture colleges in the whole of India, and 63 of them used to attend NASA conventions. So you are representing an institute at the national level. That means you are the face of the institute. And not everybody gets the chance. So you have to use this chance not for yourself, but to create an image for your institute. This stayed with me, and this stayed with me. So this is one lesson that I took from my learning days to my teaching days. So I said, okay, if I'm the face of my institute, what I do is eventually going to define the institute. So when I started teaching at BNCA, I took it more seriously of using each opportunity, each of the facility that was given to me at the institute in a manner that would bring the same amount of respect, visibility, and give the identity the institute needs or requires. So all opportunities that came to me as a teacher obviously directly benefited BNCA, and all opportunities that came to BNCA obviously benefited me a lot. So it was a win-win that I learned from my third year what do you say, learnings. Then in my fourth year, I had this opportunity from third year to fourth year. I had this opportunity to represent the zone, head the zonal council of NASA India. Again, there was this whole thing whether I'll be capable of doing it. Do I have really the financial backing to be spending so much, traveling so much? Do I have the resources to access all of this? I didn't have an active internet computer at home. So do I have college computer to access? What do I do? And that again, I weighed my options. I realized that again, one guy out of the entire zone of what 20 colleges is getting to represent the zone at the national level. Why not? Then eventually that hunger to learn, that eagerness to explore, that curiosity to know what other colleges across country are doing, that sort of ambition grew, and eventually I became the NASA president, the national president, one guy who would ever be elected for one entire year across every architecture student that is studying architecture that year. So an opportunity once in a lifetime that you get, and I thought I would grab it totally, and eventually I became the 50th president of NASA India. It changed the way I looked at life. It changed the way I looked at architecture, people, opportunities. It made me a little bolder, and I think that also stayed with me. It erased off a lot of inhibitions. I could pick up my phone, call anybody, or text anybody. It got that mental block out of my head, and that has helped me. That has stayed with me today also as a lesson. The very interesting lesson that stayed with also me from those days till today is also about that. And I think I'll be very bold about quoting this: is it's okay to not keep everyone happy. You can't keep everyone happy in the process. You are going to meet people, encounter people who are not going to be happy about your decisions, your processes, or behavior, or reactions. But you eventually realize that if you are clear about what you're doing, there is high amount of integrity in your approach. If your conscience is clear about why you're doing something, I think then you are not answerable to everyone. Then you're not really answerable to people who are not very happy with you or your behavior. And then when I realized this early in my career, I realized that if I can't keep everyone happy, I would rather keep the maximum people happy. I'll do things that are more for the cause of the people rather than just for my own benefit. So that has also eventually helped me as a big learning during my teaching days. It's the 16th year in teaching, and I think I've carried these 3-4 lessons from my BR's days into my teaching career. One roadblock that also came to me during my architecture learning days was access to resources was very meager. You didn't have opportunities as many as you have right now. Architecture students today have everything at fingertips. They have data, they have contacts, they can DM a celebrity architect, they can go attend events just by and large every day. Every evening, there is some function happening in Pune city of some organization, be it AESA, IIA, Triple ID, CREDI, Builders Association, Indian Concrete Institutes. There's so much that is happening. That was one thing that we didn't really have. I keep saying this, if I had the similar opportunities or networking tools or platforms back in the day in 2007-8 when I represented NASA India, I would have totally used them to the benefit of everyone, and things would have been far different. But then when we look back in time and then we say, okay, we did the best we could, what was available back then. And now students will obviously use the current available tools, techniques, platforms, and obviously make the best use of it. So I think I'm very happy about how things have changed, panned out. But obviously, none of the learnings have gone waste. I think everything good, bad, right, wrong, ugly, everything that was learned in the process during architecture and early career years of teaching, they've stayed, they have shaped the person I am today, and eventually has shaped the lives I have tried to shape through my teachings at BNCA or at other workshops where I go at NASA India or individual schools as well.
This has been such a wonderful conversation. I have so much to learn, not only as an architect, but beyond architecture. As a person, there's so much to learn from your life. I have a very fun question next. I know you have explained about how you've made the most of everything and how you've seen your career change throughout the years. But if you could give one piece of advice to your 22-year-old self, what would it be?
Be a little less fearful of things. Make sure that don't self doubt. Try it out. It will be worth the experience. Don't shy away from expressing what you really feel. And all of this is just one lesson that I learned big time is today, the way I am, I could have been X bolder than this or more. I could have been a little. I'm not talking about achievements. I'm talking about what came towards me. Maybe somewhere self doubt killed a few opportunities. The inward looking myself or the shy myself didn't really look at making the most of those opportunities. And in that advice, I would also want to tell my 22-year-old self that the world is not exactly the way you yourself are. You will always encounter all type of people. Understand that early. Only look at the goodness in the world. You will always face all types of people, all types of experiences. Be prepared for both the experiences and both the encounters.
That is amazing advice. After spending so many years in architecture, what still excites you about the field today, about architecture and design?
I think, again, this has two aspects. One about teaching. I think every day you are in this cycle of learning and teaching, learning and teaching. Every day there is so much that you learn from your own peers, your own students also. At times they come up with the wittiest of the queries. They have researched more. So I think every day is a new challenge in terms of teaching. And I love learning more and more each day as the day passes. I enjoy this newness that is there in the field. So because the field is so fast evolving and they're fast changing in terms of material, technology, design aspects, design thinking processes, there is so much to adapt to. I think that adaptation is the excitement that I have. It is one thing that I keep saying to myself, okay, I have so much more to learn from, and then use that to teach as well. That changing, fast changing field is one excitement that remains with me. The second thing that I look at is to go back to a bunch of 18 to 23-year-old students, be within that energy of the youth. It sort of keeps you young. It keeps you on your toes. It tells you that there's no way there is any complacency in your approach. You have to be upbeat with the technology, the kind of AI tools that are coming in. You have to make sure that you start speaking the same language that the Gen Z is talking. Make sure you understand what they are talking. Make sure what they are going through emotionally, mentally. So you have to also sort of keep up to that. So that also excites me to be back into that same age bracket where you are excited by you, that energy rubs onto you. You sort of become part of their lives for 5 years, and eventually they influence your life as much as you start influencing their lives.
I'm really grateful we got to have this conversation today. It was wonderful getting a peek at your journey, and I was always in awe of the way you would become one of us and then start teaching also. So it was wonderful to get to know your journey, how you have come
Really,
this
really
far.
happy to share all of this actually. you don't really sit across and tell somebody all of these otherwise. So this interface is really helping.
It was wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your journey so honestly, for answering all of my questions and telling me much more than I expected. Thank you so
And the
much.
pleasure is entirely mine. I love sharing what you asked about, and the questions were very well thought of. Thank you for curating it so well. And the
Thank
idea
you.
still remains that we have to reach out to as many students, as many young minds as possible, not necessarily influence them, but just agitate them to become more sincere about learning rather than serious about learning.